Yo, what's up, y'all? We are live. Thanks for joining in. Let me go ahead and Danny, what are you doing live? Let me go ahead and get this out real quick. Make sure everything is going correctly. For anybody joining in, you have to be watching through YouTube. That's the only place. I think until next Tuesday. Once next Tuesday hits. I think I'll be able to do that live back from Facebook again. They got me in, I guess it's not Facebook jail, but Facebook live jail where I can't go live. So we'll see. But I think it's next Tuesday when that's up. Let me see here. Find my live on YouTube so I can share this. Give me just a second and we will get going. All right. And looks like that's it. Found it. So let's go ahead and post it on Facebook. And give me just a sec while everybody's jumping in. Let's see, tap in. All right, so all the comments will be from from what I see through StreamYard. I won't be able to see. Well, if you're on Facebook and you click onto the YouTube link, then I should be able to see your comments because they'll show up in StreamYard. And let's see here. Bam. And now let's go to Giant XL American Bully Group. You know what? I forgot to see if there are any other topics that came up in there. Let me check on that real quick. And doesn't look like there were any. I don't think so. I think I might have forgot to pin that topics to the top. Looks like I did, but that's okay. Let me go ahead and post this in here. Give me just a second. We're about to get going. All right. Now, let me find the topics for today so I can see if anybody added any to it. We know we're going to be speaking again on the black hole theory of breeding. A lot of people hit me up about that. It is confusing and perfect. So there are no other topics other than that and whatever you guys bring up during the live. So let me see who's tapping in right now. Let me get rid of this. Why is this in the way? Close tab. Oh, snap. It just threw down my whole thing. Hold on just a second. What did I click? And open StreamYard back up. There we go. Okay. It's all good. Scared me for a minute. And enter studio. All right, that's closed. That's closed out. Looks like everything is closed out, so we don't get any interruptions. Go ahead, tap in, tap in. Make sure you guys subscribe and like. And so let's get to it. Who we got in here? Ashley Hernans in here. Casper, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. James Sims, thanks for joining in. WKR said, Dog Talk Tuesday, straight no chaser. Exactly. Let's see. Derek Hatfield said, you already know, let's get it. Gitman said, yo, what's up? Ashley, what's up? Rhodes Kennel, thanks for joining in. Don't worry, Ashley, I was a little late too. Let's see. Dom said that Gaines Bully, though, on Stack Off was dope. You know what? I thought that was a dope live yesterday. Um, Gaines, when he walked away from the dog during the Stack Off, that was just that was dope, dude. That was dope. I think he did get me with that. But that was an interesting thing. Because he's okay. And Dom, you in from Guam. What's up, man? Salute to Guam. Thanks for joining in. But what was dope about that, the reason I gave it to Gaines is because on one hand, I agree with Danny and I agree with Raul in the fact that you do have to give the XL a little bit of leg room. But the Breeze Standard, prior to that, we're saying the Breeze Standard, and the Breeze Standard doesn't give leg room to the XL. It expects that H to be perfectly square, that H frame that everybody talks about. But everybody's adjusting the H based off of how wide their dog is or how narrow their dog is. So that was interesting, especially with Danny being a show breeder, because like I said, the standard isn't written, I'll say this. With the ABKC, which is the biggest bully registry, them in the UKC, the standard is written the same for all the breeds. And that's why when it came down to it, both dogs were dope, but I had to give it, me personally, I had to give it to Gaines because it had that perfect square when you go from toe to chest, straight up to the chest, across the chest, and then back down, perfect square on his female. And whereas the other dog was right there, but just a little more rectangular than square. But that was a dope stock off. Two great looking dogs. Actually, the last the last four dogs were real good looking dogs. So that was good. That one tall XL, I want to see how he turns out when he's grown. Betsy said both were dope. Heck of a show. Yeah, that was a good show. That was a good show yesterday. Let's see. Ashley said the stack off was dope. God made Bully Kennel here waiting for the show. We're about to get it going on the topic. And let's see here. Who else is in here? Brian from Alberta, Canada. We got, how is that? 35 Sadiq is in here. Says start the video with hitting the like button, guys. Yes, definitely hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. Rick Libre says, shout out Thor, man. Do I get a story about Bullies and bully breeders for you and Big Raul and QBNK? Bullies and bully breeders. Oh, okay. So he's got a story. Okay. Well, hit me up. Let me know what you got. Rhodes, what's up, Rhodes? Thanks for joining in. So I still got more to work on with my boy. He got scored a 18.5 in the first round before you. Yeah, dude, came on a little late. You know, Raul's punctual. So he started right off the bat. And then once I got on, because there was so many people joining the live, it wouldn't let me get on the live because normally it'll let you backstage. Well, it wouldn't let me backstage. So it took forever for me to even get on just for him to see that I was backstage. So so I miss you, dude. That's my bad. I'm gonna start being like 5 minutes early when it comes to Raul from now on. Let's see. So let's go ahead and Floyd said, what's up? What's up, Floyd? Thanks for joining in. Brian's up in here. Thanks for joining. Okay, that's Northern Edge. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. So you missed it. Yeah, it was a good one yesterday. It was a lot of people showed up with good dogs, and not only that, a lot of them was really prepared. You could tell they had been really working on their dogs, and it's hard for me because it's a stack off. Whereas I like the dogs that don't want to sit there stacked off and want to jump around and spin around. Those are the dogs I like. I like that energy. So it's hard for me to stay like, okay, this is stack off show type mentality. You know what I'm saying? But it was good. Let's see. Bullies, Cars, and AR said I had games winning, but I'm a pocket bully guy. Yeah, exactly. I'm an XL guy, and you saw I gave it to Gaines, but Danny, Raul, and Bobby, they both gave it to what was it? I think Pryor was his. All right, there we go. But that was a good show yesterday. That was a good show yesterday. And shout out to both those guys. Gaines with his dog, and I think that was Gaines Bullies, and then I think it was Prior Bullies. He has a female that was badass off of Vibes Cartel. So that was a good one. John Smith said, right thrower, you are correct about the standard. Yeah, see, so that's why I gave it to Gaines. That's why I gave it to Gaines. They gave it to Pryor because they were making a slight exception for it being an XL. But that was why I gave it to Gaines. Plus, the way he walked off from the dog and the dog just stood there motionless. There were several times I was looking at that and I was like, is my computer frozen? And then when I noticed, I'd see her tongue kind of moving in and out as she was panting. And I'm like, whoa, this dog's on a whole nother level. But that was dope yesterday. That was extremely dope. But let's get to it. Let's see here. What do we got? First off, I do need to let people know that have hit me up for consultations. I've noticed a few of you in here that are also, I think you're on here. I can't tell who joins on like I can on Facebook, but I know a few of you that join on a regular basis that actually live in my area or somewhat close to me, that I got to meet up and kind of schedule some appointments with. I'm a little behind on that. I will. Yesterday being a holiday was good for me because I got to two things that happened. One, I started back to work. There's a couple issues we've had at work. So I've been working, but now I'm back in the office. So I got the drive to the office and I got the drive home. So it takes away a lot. And while at work, I'm a little more focused than I am somewhat at home. And then there's extra things going on at the job with just the computer setups and things like that. So that's been a kind of getting in the way of things. And yesterday was a holiday. So I have Friday, Saturday, plus, I have Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, plus yesterday, a holiday. So that enabled me to get caught up a lot on Messenger and my text messages and things like that. So anybody I know that has paid for consultation and we're getting ready to do another one that you pay for, you guys, I know I spoke to you all yesterday. There's a couple new people that have hit me up. I will be getting to you. Today's Tuesday. I will definitely be getting to you by Thursday because I want to have hit everybody up by Friday to start kind of, rescheduling things out. Some of you that I'm supposed to meet up with physically in person for any type of dog training, obedience, and behavior, I will be getting at you by tomorrow, Wednesday. So I do apologize for that to everybody that I've been a little behind on. It's just been kind of hectic with starting back to work, and actually not even the starting back to work. It's the driving because I drive about an hour and a half, 2 hours in traffic. So I think I'm about to start leaving a lot earlier to beat the traffic, and then just leave the job earlier to beat the traffic on the way home. So I'm gonna test that out and see how that works tomorrow. But so I should be good. But yeah, that caught me off guard getting back into the office. Let's see what else. Oh, I do want to give a shout out. I'm not gonna say the kennel name. I'm not gonna say their last name, but Darren and I know it's not Amelia. I want to say it's Amalia. So I might have messed that up, but I just remember I thinking Amelia, but it's not Amelia. So I think it's Amalia. Is the Darren's wife. I just saw the video today that you guys sent me and the work that you guys have been doing with Neo. For those that don't know, he's a Presa Canario. And hey, great job. I'm not going to say what we were working on or anything like that, but I was very impressed in the video. You guys stuck is what I think we've done 2 sessions by phone. The last session was when we used video so I could see what you guys were doing. And really, that's not a lot. So for you guys to have done what you've been able to do, and I think that video you sent to me Thursday, and our last session was I think last Tuesday. Um, hey, salute, you know, because it lets me know you guys really put in the work. And that boy, he's doing good. He's an intelligent dog. I'm not gonna get carried away into that because that's kind of a thing between me and them. But just in case you guys are watching, I'll be giving you guys a call tomorrow also. But I did see your video just in case you guys are watching. I know you guys tend to watch it after the lives are over, when you get situated at home and everything with your kids. But I just want to say to you guys, great job. You obviously stuck to what we discussed, and great job. I'm mad I just now saw the video. That's my bad. I will be back in tune with everything between tomorrow, Wednesday, well, tomorrow's Wednesday, so between tomorrow and Thursday, and then I start rescheduling things. I don't even know if you guys even need to, as far as Darren and Amalia, I don't even think you guys even need to reschedule anything, you know, unless it's something new. Because I think you guys got it straight up. There's no reason in taking your money. I think you guys got it. But the main topic was the black hole theory. A lot of people hit me up. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Hold on real quick. House of Blue Pit Bulls is back in. What's up, man? From Long Beach, LBC in here. James Galloway said, calculated bullies, waiting to hear the good news. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Who else we got? This is so much easier just being able to go to one location to see you guys' comments. That's my boy, Big Friar Bullies. James Galloway said, hey, his dog is dope. What's crazy is we're looking at the video. I mean, we're looking at them stacking their dogs off, and I'm like, damn, she looks a lot like Vibes Cartel. But I didn't say nothing. Then finally, I couldn't help it. I'm like, damn, she looks a lot like Vibes Cartel. Then finally, he wins, and him and Danny's like, yeah, that's off of Vibes Cartel. She looks just like Vibes. Beautiful female he's got. Where did Floyd go? What are you doing in here? How'd you get out? Beautiful female he's got. You want to jump up here and get on camera? Can she get on camera? Are you on there? I think she is on here. This is Sadie Cardi Bull. What's up? All right, get down now because you're pushing my seat on this towel. Good girl. I'm gonna feed you in just a second. But she looks just like Vibes, dude. I mean, she looks just like Vibes. So shout out to Big Prior Bullies and Ray Burkett for that production. She's a beautiful female. Let's see. Rose said, I still need to get his weight though. He'll be 2 years old in October. Okay, because you said he's what, 21 inches tall. Okay. And has a 21-inch head. So yeah, that boy is nice. For those who didn't see, Ray or Rhodes Kennels brought his I guess you'd say pretty much a band dog on. Great looking dog. Gitman said there's a SoCal Bully Meet show coming up at the end of the month. Are you going? I have not heard about it. So if you could send me that information, definitely send it to me because I have not heard about it. Patrick Adams said, finally here to gain this knowledge. Thanks for joining in, Patrick. Hopefully you get it. James Galloway says she is really consistent. She is. You can tell just. Here's my thing. You got to, and we're kind of going to be talking about that tonight with the whole black hole theory. For her, you figure she's 50% Vibes Cartel, 50% her mom, but she got a lot of Vibes Cartel's traits. So what do you think she's going to be throwing as a female when she throws 50% of her genetics on her female offspring, and then she throws 50% of her genetics on her male offspring, but that male offspring is going to be taking less from the dad because he's only getting a Y chromosome. We'll get into that. But yeah, he's sitting on a gold mine with her. When I say gold mine, I mean a gold mine of traits, of good traits. So because that, like I said, when a female resembles her father and her father is the shit, she's about to produce some great looking dogs. All he's got to do is pick the right males to take her to. But she's like a stud within herself. Martin Hernandez, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. So let's get into this. A lot of people hit me up regarding the regarding the, and then I'll be posting the link to join in a second. But a lot of people hit me up regarding the black hole theory of breeding. And some people looked at it kind of incorrectly. Some people felt, what does it matter? If I'm just looking at the dogs in front of me, I'm just breeding the dogs in front of me. The people who looked at it incorrectly, I understand, because we are in the habit of looking at things from left to right, just like we read. So we look at our puppy and then we think about its pedigree and what made the puppy that we have in front of us. The black hole theory is more reading from right to left. So you have your puppy, and now you have the moves that you're about to make with that puppy for the next 4 generations. Kind of like when you hear some people say, "My breedings are in my mind 4 to 5 generations ahead." That that phrase though is misused in the bully community very badly, if badly is a word. Um, the other people looked at it as, what does it matter? I'm just breeding the dogs in front of me. And they have a point, because the black hole theory is based on ability, performance, structure. Uh, it's based on all the traits of the dog. The look, the temperament is based on everything. So if you're just breeding, for big head, thick bone, pretty looking, dumb, submissive dogs with good structure, then yeah, you just match males and females and that have similar traits, and the black hole theory doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter how things work out, because you're breeding on a simple-minded level. So therefore, it wouldn't matter. I agree with them. And then if you need to add color, then you want Tri or Merle or whatever it is. You just breed to it, and you get that in one breeding. So what would the black hole theory matter? The black hole theory is something that's for people who are truly trying to breed, whether it's dogs, horses, show dogs, working dogs, race horses, show horses, cattle, whatever it is you're trying to breed, and you're trying to better it. That's what the black hole theory is there for, because it's letting you know where you don't want the traits from, as you're starting here with your pups that you have now, and you're creating your bloodline, regardless of what it is you're breeding, lions, tigers, dogs, cows, whatever it is you're breeding. You want to make sure that the traits that you want to be carried into your bloodline don't end up in those black hole positions. And if you happen to have traits that you don't want, if you happen to have traits that you don't want, but you have traits that you might like associated or attached to those same dogs with traits you don't want, then you can go ahead and throw those dogs in those black hole positions to create that dog 5 generations from now or 4 generations from now. And that's how you need to look at the black hole theory. That is what making true breeding is about. When the ABKC decides to put a separation gap between the classes, to where there's like 2 to 3 inches between the classes, when they finally do that, you're going to notice all of a sudden breeders are going to have to truly breed. They're not going to be able to just throw anything together. And if I end up with a 20-inch XL, and I'm cool. Or if I end up with a 20 to 21, 22-inch XL, I'm cool, because you're not going to be cool, because chances are that dog's also producing standards. And when they start saying, okay, we want 2 to 3 inches between each class, and we don't want no XLs breeding the standards, and we don't want no standards breeding the pockets. When all that starts to take place, breeders are going to have to truly breed. What you're going to find out at that point is that a lot of these XL breeders are going to all of a sudden become standard breeders. And a lot of these standard breeders, say it even be good, a lot of these standard breeders are going to accidentally become pocket breeders. And some of these pocket breeders are going to become standard breeders. So we're going to, at that point, see exactly who can breed and who can't. Right now, you just match dogs and make sure you got a big head and thick bone, and you're good. So once the ABKC steps in and does that, that's when we'll truly see who can breed and who can't. And breeders are going to have to take their time. The ABKC is going to have to take their time, because they're going to have to give breeders I would say a 2 to 3 year warning before they implement it, so they're going to have to announce it. So let's say they announce it come 2022, they're going to have to say, all right, come 2024 or 25, we're going to be putting a 2 to 3 inch gap. It has to be noticeable, otherwise you're bullshitting. So it's got to be 2 to 3 inches between each breed. And once we've done that, there's no more mixing of classes. They all have to stay separate and be treated as separate breeds, just like the Schnauzer. The Poodle finally realized that they were pushing the Poodle as the same breed, the standard Poodle and the miniature Poodle and the teacup, all like they were the same breed. Now they're realizing, no, they weren't the same breed. We have to start admitting our history. And they're just kind of figuring out now how to reword it, like the Schnauzer was honest from the beginning. That this is not the same breed. They were used, different breeds were used to make it. They have different temperaments, and therefore we allow different variances between the standard, but within the standard of each class. Well, the ABKC is going to have to do the same. I think once the ABKC does that, you will find the UKC all of a sudden will probably have classes, start having classes once the ABKC makes that move and there becomes a noticeable difference. Or the UKC is going to beat them to the punch and do it themselves. But you can't be the UKC and give a 22-inch dog a grand champion and a 14 or 15-inch dog a grand champion and call them both American bullies. So I think the UKC is waiting to do either waiting on the ABKC or waiting to see how big these dogs get, how popular they get, and then going to say, okay, let's pull the trigger and we're going to take over where the ABKC should have started. What I will say is the UKC will more than likely not use names such as Pocket and XL. It will probably be the giant, the miniature, the standard, and the giant American bully. But we'll see. That's my assumption of how those things are going to go, because that's just how dogs, it's just the way of dogs. When it comes to this, the theory, the black hole theory, like I said, if you're just throwing dogs together to get that wow factor, that big bone, big head, and that's it, you're cool with the dog being lazy, then yeah, you don't really have anything to worry about. But if you're trying to truly breed, especially right now with the way the standards are written, but if you're for each of the classes, but if you're trying to truly breed, then you have to start getting involved with what dogs are about. We always hear everyone says form follows function. You always hear that all over the bully community and a lot of dog communities. The problem with that is an architecture term. That's an architect term. It's not it works for dogs, but it's not really, it doesn't go far enough. You know what I mean? Because we're dealing with life, we're dealing with activity, we're dealing with purpose. And so, and that leads to what I was going to say next, which I've said before. When you say form follows function, that's cool that you learn that. But what does function follow? Function follows purpose. What does purpose follow? Purpose follows the breeder. What does the breeder follow? He either follows his desires or he follows the scrutiny of his analysis. So when you say a breeder follows his desires, then what is he following? Money, the masses, what the newest trend is, the newest trophy, the ribbon to get that, will get that show trophy, whatever it may be. Or he's going to follow the scrutiny of his analysis, which is going to lead him on a whole nother path. Hopefully that keeps him within the standard. But if he's honest with himself and the breed he loves, it may take him further away from the standard, and he may find the truth is the standard needs to adjust, not him. That is what has, and when you get into the show ring and the damage that it has caused with so many breeds, that is what you find happens, is that somebody finally says, hey, the extreme slope in the back of the German Shepherd and the hips, how they're messed up. Somebody finally said, hey, this is going too far for the show ring. We need to get back to form follows function. Function follows purpose. Purpose follows the breeder. And stop the breeders from following their desires and start following the scrutiny of their analysis. Meaning, take the experience that you have, take the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from that experience, and now base your breedings off of that. And that's the problem that you have with we end up having with the show ring, because it's solely based off its aesthetics. A lot of people will say, right now the dogo breeders are mad because the show ring has the AKC has taken on the show ring. Has taken on the dogo. And so I've had people where I posted, what do you think of this? And those who are pro show ring, they say, oh, it's a great thing. And I say, yeah, but they're going to lose something in them because they're not working. And they say, oh, no, those dogs are working. So then I say, okay, well, where are their scars? Oh, those dogs have scars, trust me. Well, they don't. Let's admit it. You know what I mean? Um, no one who truly works their dog is going to have their dog in the show ring. The dog's not going to be able to function in the show ring. A true working dogo is not going to be able to show up on the weekend and all of a sudden stand in front of a whole bunch of other dogos outside of his pack. He's not going to be able to do it. Sit there poised, letting somebody manhandle them, look at the gums, move them around, walk around like that. When you start walking at a certain pace that you see them walking in that dogo in, a real dogo is going to start going on hunt mode. Like, what is it you want me to do? When you see that dogo walking with his head upside and he's trotting like a horse or like a show dog, he ain't really working. Even if he's done some work, he ain't really a working dog. Same thing with your beagles. You know, that's a perfect example. A true working beagle is never going to get inside of a show ring and not put his nose to the ground. All those different dogs been walking there. They've been with their footprints there. They've been shitting, farting, pissing. They've been doing all this stuff in that show ring. And the beagle hasn't put his head down once to sniff. That hound, foxhound, hasn't put his head down once to sniff. It's because they're not the real deal. They are the show version. So a lot of people will try to say, oh, my dog shows and he also he also really works. No, that's just an added selling point for your show dog. Working dogs don't have the show as a selling point for their working dog. See what I'm saying? And that's where things start to get lost. So when we're looking at this, what we have to think about and we have to remember when it comes to form follows function, the black hole theory of breeding, this is not just the aesthetics of the dog, it is also the mindset of the dog. Why? Because the black hole theory of breeding is helping you create a bloodline. What is it that makes a bloodline? A bloodline is a dog that stands out within its breed for its temperament and for its appearance. So that means, and it takes at least 5 generations, which is why the black hole theory is always based off of 4 generations. So it takes 5 generations to get the look, get the temperament, and then lock it in. If you pick the right dogs, you can get the temperament first, and as you're locking it in, you can start working on the look. But when it's all said and done, for you to have a bloodline, people need to be able to look at that dog and say, that's so-and-so's blood. It has to be, because I know those dogs when I see them. That's when you know you got a bloodline. The energy of the dog is going to be signature to your yard. The look of the dog is going to be signature to your yard. The intelligence, the temperament of the dog is going to be signature to your yard. That is one of the reasons, because of how mixed up the bully breed is along with the paper hanging, that is one of the reasons my cousin and I, as bully breeders, breed slow. We've had, in 5 years, we've had 2 litters. And the reason is because we took our time testing the dogs for what we want in their temperament. We now know we got it. We now know as long as we stick with this type of vibe from these types of females, when they go to King, this is what we're going to get. We know when they go to King's son, Aziz, that's going to pick up going to bring a little more edge to it, which is what we want. So that's why we take our time. But yeah, in 5 years of being in the bully community, 4 years of owning the bully, King was the first one. 3 years with Justice, 2.5 years with Cardi. We've had 2 litters, and they weren't with them. They were King and Kenzie, King and Cardi. Justice, we just did a breeding, but we are approaching what we called our Come to Jesus mark. So 4 years ago, we said we was going to have a Come to Jesus meeting on this year's hunting trip in Arkansas this November. So when we get there, we will be making our final decision on what we're doing when it comes to bullies, whether we're sticking with the breed, and if we're sticking with the breed, are we on the right path? Right now, we pretty much know we're sticking with the breed. We pretty much know we're on the right path. So we weren't going to do it but we decided to do it. But because we weren't going to do it and then decided to do it, justice came in the heat. We did one AI with her. And if she if she turns out to be pregnant, we just did that about a week and a half ago. She turns out to be pregnant, cool. If she doesn't, cool, because we always knew 2022 was going to be the year we went knee deep, 10 toes down in the bully game and really started breeding and producing. So, but so far, so good. But that's what the black hole theory of breeding is about taking your time, mapping things out. When it's all said and done, dogs are made up of their genotype and their phenotype, both in temperament and in body. So their temperament has a genotype and a phenotype. Their body has a genotype and a phenotype. The phenotype are the things that we see and the things that, but some of those things we have to learn to see. So the temperament, the more you learn about temperament, the more drives you're able to see within your dog and the more thresholds you're able to understand within your dog. Just because you don't see them is because you haven't learned to see them. Once you learn to see them, you see more and more and more drives within your dog. And those drives are what make up the temperament. And the threshold of those drives or the thresholds are what make up the drives. For each of those drives is what makes up those drives. So the genotype are the things that we can't see, but show rear their heads also in phenotype. So the phenotype of the dog is the color. The genotype are the genetics that make up that color. Females are responsible for and now we get into the basics of the black hole theory. So we're going to get into it. But remember, your females are responsible for the amount of pups that you have. People always say, well, female gives 60%. The male gives only 30%. All that stuff is not true. None of that stuff is true. The female gives you the majority of the dog. None of that stuff is true. You just want to look at the look of a dog, then it's still not true. None of that is true. This is how it works. From start, your female is going to dictate how many pups you have in the litter because of how many eggs she carries. Your male is going to dictate whether those pups are males or females. Some people will say, oh, well, my female always kicks a bunch of females. No, you just happen to be taking her to males that always kick a bunch of females. That's what it is. You need to find some traits in the parents of those males from now on that show you that something different. But the females are the XX chromosome. X has a whole lot of information on it. Males are XY chromosome. Again, X has a whole lot of information. Y carries very little information because it's more focused on carries some information, but it's more focused on making your male a male. You hear what I'm saying? If that makes sense. And let me jump into the comments real quick. Let's make sure I'm not missing nothing. Where are we at? Oh shit, I already erased it. Hold on. Where were we? Okay. Dom said Judge should do a stack off. Rose said I just measured. Okay, we got that. Big boy prior bullies. We saw that. Let's see, Martin. We saw that. You see that boy is also okay. I haven't seen him, James. I haven't seen him. Let's see, yo, that was sick how you saw Vibes Cartel in that dog on yesterday's stack. Yeah, I wasn't saying nothing at first because I don't know. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I have to say it. That dog looks like Vibes. Yeah, I just saw the traits. James said that's what I was saying. We as a community should do anyway. Top of the class bully said good stack. Oh yeah, it was, dude. It was dope. Let's see. Was Juan Gotti lime bread. That boy looks incredible to this day. You know what? I actually have a old live where I did an interview with Gary Moore and he broke down the breeding of Wangati. And I want to say he was Raider 2, and I want to say his mom was Callie Love. I don't believe he was line bred, but I could be mistaken. So don't quote me on that. But I do the live that I did with Gary. I'll probably do another one with Gary, Gary Moore from Gray Line. I'll probably do another one with him because he did break down the how they got to where they got and the breedings that were done to make Wangati. Let's see. Gitman says, start circling the dogo, looking all funny. It's a wrap. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's, but you can't get the show breeder people to admit that. Rashad Kelly said, you mentioned last week that breeding towards looks versus work leads to health problems. Yes. What do you think about weight pool serving as your work to breed towards? Would it improve health overall? Um, okay. I don't look at weight pool as work. I look at weight pool as an activity. To me, work is what takes full advantage of the dog's natural instincts, which is as a predator, purpose driven species, anything that puts the dog against man or beast is what I look at as work. So whether it's scent trip, because he's got to use his mind to outsmart something else. He's got to use his body to outsmart, to outdo something else, whether it be man or beast. In my mind, that's what I look at as work. I look at weight pool as an activity. I think it's something you can definitely breed towards. I don't know how much, and I'm sure you'd get drive off of it if you're breeding towards it, but are you getting a certain level of intelligence also? So like when you breed a um, a dog for working, what I call working, hunting, herding, protection, especially civil protection with civil drives. Um, when you breed a dog for those things, they have to be able to outsmart and outdo in the heat of the moment. Which is why with our dogs, Justice did do some bear hunting as far as trailing. Cardi Bull, I watch her when I let her loose in the rabbit field to see how she operates hunting the rabbits. Is she learning from her last experiences on how to do a better job than she did last time? Because we want a dog that's truly cognitive. I don't know that you can get that or has a good cognitive ability. I don't know that you can necessarily get that from weight pool because the dog's just battling weight, So yeah, you're going to get more drive, you're going to get more determination, you're going to get more muscle. But is there a level of intelligence that's testing that dog? It's not, because it's an inanimate object. Now, as far as the health physically, yes, especially in the conditioning phase for a weight pool. So there are times when I used to condition other people's dogs for weight pool. Um, I would start off with lightweight, just seeing how far that dog, that dog to a tire, attach the dog to a tire, and I would know exactly, that basically we're at a field or a park where there's basically damn near no end to it. I jump on the bike, move at a certain pace, and have that dog just dragging that tire. You know what I mean? A lightweight tire, but just to get all those muscles into it at the point when he's tired. Um, and then we would start working on heavier and heavier weight and making it more difficult. I would even get on a bike, have them pulling me on while I'm on the bike, and I would be applying the brake to the bike a little bit. You know what I mean? A little bit and a little bit more at a time. Um, so you can build, the determination. You can build definitely determination in them. You can also monitor the dog's health, their stamina through the conditioning phase of weight pool. Once it comes down to the actual meet, That's just like anything else where it's go time. You know what I mean? So I think that you can monitor the health of the dog, the structure of the dog. If a dog's got bad hips, chances are he's not going to be able to do weight pull. You're not going to be able to go for long periods, even with lightweight. And you'll see it in his movement, especially if you're used to watching dogs doing weight pull. So I think you can get, the things, the health and things like that. As far as um, the mental aspect of the dog, I don't know that would necessarily help with cognitive ability. Let's see. WKR said, yeah, my German short hair. What? I didn't. That's one of my favorite breeds. German short hair pointer comes out the house in hunt mode every time. See, exactly. My Jack Russell was the same way. Floyd, my catch dog, wherever he is, he's old now, but he was the same way. When a dog truly works, they're looking to truly work. Like my working dogs, no joke, they don't crap or piss when we go walking. They don't start crapping. They don't even start pissing till when we go walking until they hit probably like 7, 8 years old. Then I'll notice they'll stop at a bush to piss. But other than that, they're on leash because they're in that mode. You know what I mean? They're in that mode. They're not looking to, pee or poop or anything like that. So I used to love it because, like I said, I wouldn't have to worry about anything walking. Let's see. Rose said I produced 4 generations and I'm working on my 5th one. See, there you go. You got some good stuff you working with, dude. I much respect to you, dude. Casper said, I know there are downfalls from too much inbreeding, but what are the ramifications from too much line breeding? Line breeding should only be done. You can use line breeding to fix flaws. You can use line breeding to kind of lock in your good traits. You just got to make sure you're selectively picking the correct pups from those breedings. Line breeding is a way to slowly lock in the traits that are going to be making up your bloodline. It is also a way of fixing some traits. If the lineage gives you the opportunity to do so. So that's pretty much. There aren't ramifications to line breeding unless you just breed 2 dogs that have bad traits that you never should have bred in the first place. But if you're starting off with decent dogs, there's no ramifications. Now, sometimes the downfalls to inbreeding are you've done some close line breeding and then you pick the 2 wrong dogs that aren't perfect to do inbreeding, and now you compound traits that you weren't aware you were compounding. And that's why you don't do inbreeding until you examine that dog from toes up, tail forward, all the way to the bite, to make sure that everything's perfect. And then you do your inbreeding. But you don't do any inbreeding until the dogs are perfect. Casper said, thoughts on the Doberman. I, as a kid, used to love the Doberman because I loved the Doberman gang show where the Dobermans used to come in and rob banks. And then I also, my uncles that were gardeners back then, back when I was young, used to have a lot of black gardeners. And I had uncles, one of them was actually my grandfather's uncle, and another was my grandfather's cousin. So these men were during the 70s, they were probably in their 40s and 50s. And they were gardeners. And then, like I said, in the 70s, you had a lot of black gardeners. But they always had Dobermans guarding their trucks. All of them. They always had Dobermans. Dobermans were big in the 70s and early 80s. So I've always had a love for Dobermans because I grew up around them. And then I fell in love with pit bulls and Rottweilers. Because I also grew up close with a game dog that my uncle had, Slits. He was an old family red nose. That was like my first love. And then when we moved from Oakland to LA, that's when I started liking the Dobermans. But I like Dobermans. I do think you have to have a strong hand with Dobermans. They're very energetic. They can be very stubborn. So I do think you have to have a strong hand with them. But so with that being said, if we know with the black hole theory that the X chromosome carries more genetics and the Y chromosome carries less genetics, you have to think about in your breedings, what does that mean? What it means is that your females who are an X chromosome from the mom and an X chromosome from the dad are now 50% mom, 50% dad. Okay? Add the random genetics to it, and it's just all randomness when it comes to your female, which is what works because she's the one developing the eggs. She's the one that's carrying the pup. So this gives genetic variation. Okay. When it comes to, and what's up, girl? You miss me? You're bored because Mikey's out of town, huh? When it comes to your males, you're distracting me and you're pushing my chair to the side. That's the one thing about these bullies. Floyd can jump up here and I don't move. She jumps up here, and with this chair being on wheels and on tile, I have to like resist her. When it comes to your males, the males are, girl, cut out. You know I don't let licking in the face. Cut that out. You're getting carried away now. And get off my keyboard. Get back. When it comes to your males, the males are 50% their mom and 50% a little of their dad's genetics and a bunch of genetics used to make him a male. You know what I'm saying? So the male actually carries more of his mother's traits, especially if the father was not line bred or inbred. So if they're scatterbred or distantly line bred, the male's going to carry a lot of his mother's traits. Now, line breeding and inbreeding is what helps you get more from it. This is why, because of this is why you rarely in the working dog world, horses, whatever it is, when you have a great male, performs great, and then all of a sudden you breed him to a female, and everybody, especially in the bully world, is guilty of it. They think, oh, okay, I want a son off of that male. I love whatever the dog's name is. Since Vibes came up earlier, we'll use him as an example. I want a male off of Vibes. That's only going to work for you if it's Vibes being bred to a line breeding, inbreeding. Because if you get a female that's unrelated to Vibes and she does not match him trait for trait, that male you get is not going to have enough of Vibes genetics information in him. Because the only thing he's getting from Vibes is a little bit of Vibes genetics and a whole bunch of what it takes to make him a male. Everything else in him comes from his mother's genetics. So it would make no sense to get a male off of Vibes if that female does not have the same traits as Vibes. She's going to need those traits either by blood, or she's going to need those traits basically off the phenotype that you're looking at. She's got a similar head, similar body, similar structure. That's when you can match those traits, and then you should be good. The best thing you could do if you wanted to get a good male off of Vibes is don't get a male, get a female, like the dog we were talking about earlier. Because guess what? Now that female is going to be 50% Vibes traits, because nothing's getting wasted on making it a male, and it's going to be 50% her mom's traits. So if you get a female from there, and she's 50 Vibes, 50 her mom, 50% Vibes, 50% her mom, and then all of a sudden she actually looks like Vibes, like the dog we looked at in the stack off yesterday, you're winning. Because now all you got to do is take her to a male, and if he matches the traits of her and matches the traits of Vibes, you're good. But you can almost take her to a male now that ain't shit, and you're still going to get some pups in those litters off of Vibes. That's what the working dog world learned to do after a while, was that to produce your male by him being the grandson of the dog you wanted. So like they have an experiment they did with the horse Secretariat that we all know of. They couldn't figure out, and the same thing happened with a lot of dogs in the game dog world. Greyhounds, a lot of dogs, same thing. But people had a hard time. They're wondering, Secretariat is just more known because it was legal for you. It's legal for you to race horses. But with Secretariat, it was made public. But when they kept picking males from Secretariat's offspring, they could never get what they wanted. When they picked the females from Secretariat, they got great females, But what ended up being the dogs that were comparable to Secretariat were his grandsons. You see what I'm saying? Because the females carry more of Secretariat's genetics because Secretariat's giving them an X chromosome rather than a Y. Well, the same thing works for your dogs. This is where the black hole theory of breeding comes into play, because now you have to think about, through this, where are genetics going to fall, both good and bad. You don't want your good genetics to fall into one of those black hole positions. So people make the mistake, like I said, of looking at the black hole theory backwards by looking at the pedigree of the dog that they have. That's fine. What you want to do is be thinking about the pedigree that you're about to build for the dog that is the pinnacle of your bloodline 5 generations away, when you're able to say, my bloodline is complete. And some more, the average person takes 7 to 10. But if you use the black hole theory of breeding, you should be able to get to it quicker. And you put all the dogs that you want traits from in the correct positions. So, and that's how you have to read it, from right to left, not left to right. The problem with Bullies is the same problem, like I said, with the show ring, is that we breed for aesthetics. And not only do we breed for aesthetics, we breed for masculinity, even from our female. We breed for masculine traits, big heads, thick bone. These are all masculine traits, and we want our females to have them too. Not because we're taking shortcuts, not understanding that we can breed feminine females and get what we're looking for if we apply the black hole theory of breeding. You will then start to get more balanced dogs, more consistent dogs. We'll stop having to do AIs, and eventually we'll stop having to do C-sections because the dogs will be more naturally bred. Now, if you're strictly going to go for these masculine features, then you're going to lose that. That, along with the randomness of genetics, is what sometimes is going to throw off the black hole theory of breeding, but keeps it. But it's still, how would you say? It still rings true even with Bullies. So based off the black hole theory of breeding, the best way to look at it is that the dogs you have, and use the theory to create your dogs for 4 generations from now for your bloodline. You're going to need about 3 males. You're going to need about 4 females. They don't have to be unrelated, but they need to be distantly related. And you need to, so that they're being there. So you can do it through line breeding. You can do it through 3 scatterbred dog males and 4 scatterbred females. What you don't want to be doing before with achieving those 3 males and those 4 females, you don't want to be doing any inbreeding until you've got them, and then you're starting to bring them together. Let me jump into your comments real quick. Let's see. 35 Sadiq said, what is the average price to start a kennel? I think the average decent dog is around $3,000 to $4,000. So you figure if you're going to get started with, let's say, 2 to 3 good females, you're looking at about $12,000. So anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000, I would say. And what else did you say? For dogs, etc. Just curious how much money I need when I am ready to start. You know what I would say? Start off with females, because they're going to control most of what you get. Make sure you get the right female. You've got about a year to a year and a half before she's ready to breed. And in that year and a year and a half, you're watching her develop, and you're watching what's going on in the bully game. So just get her first, and then watch what's going on in the bully game. And then go from there. You might get another female after that. But take it slow. Get your female. Take it slow, fastly. So get your female. And remember, she's not going to be able to breed till her 2nd or 3rd heat anyway. So you're looking at a year to a year and a half before she's even ready to breed. But at that point, you get to watch her development, and you get to focus on those traits that you need fixing, those dogs that are out there to fix those traits. So that's why I would say get started now with just that one female. And then, start stacking your money from there. So on the topic of traits and percentages, is it safe to say that dog A may carry a certain percentage into the breeding for more than dog B? It depends on whether you're looking at the offspring, the male offspring, or the female offspring. So if dog A is a male and dog B is a female, then dog A and B are going to throw 50% into all the females because his females are X chromosome from the male, X chromosome from the female. If you're looking at your male pups, then dog B, the female, is going to give them more genetic information than dog A, who is the dad. Um, so that's what, now if the dad is inbred and line bred, he's still giving more less genetic information, but that less genetic information is more potent. So it can still get lost or it can still make its impact, even though it's less information. Um, let's see. Cushaholic 509, what's up? Said, what's good? Tapping in from Washington State. Finally catching a live. Thanks for joining in, man. James said, just had this happen to a male and female I produced from the same litter. Had both had litters. Martin Hernandez said, 35 Sadiq, the price to start varies on what style exactly. Varies on what style and format, as well as what you're capable of doing. For some may be as low as 25K and high end roughly around 50K. Again, it's all subject to you. 100%. You know what's funny about that? We planned on jumping in and getting 3 males, 4 females. Our nervousness was focusing on temperament and losing the size of our dogs and falling into the standard class. Because King was so big, so we thought we were going to need a huge male and huge female to be able to sustain XL dogs, because we also want our dogs to be more functional than your average XL, but also larger than your average XL. So that was our nervousness, is where we're functioning on temperament and ability, we're going to end up losing height and falling into the standard class. So therefore, we need a big male and a huge male and a huge female. That was what we thought. King turned out to be so damn big that we didn't have to worry about getting that female. So he took the place of 1 male and 1 female. So that was less dogs that we had to get. So very true with that statement. Even with temperament, we thought we were going to need a more driven male, but because of the mentality of Cardi Bull and Justice and then Kinsey, we realized, you know what, we can let our females are covering what we needed from that other male. So that ended up being 1 big, huge female and 1 driven male that we did not need. To the point we even had a breeder was going to give us the son of a grand champion a few years back. Because he said he was driven, well, we realized he wasn't driven. He was just hyper. So we didn't need him because it didn't work for our program and what we were doing. I know a lot of people would have took him, especially being offered him for free, but we didn't need him regardless of his ribbons and all that other, or his dad's ribbons and things like that. Martin Hernandez said, what you are looking for in particular and how much you're willing to spend. That's what it all boils down to. And then, like I said, if you get, and like Martin said, if you get the right dogs, you'll eliminate some of the dogs that you might need. Or that you thought you were going to need. James Galloway said the male was an accidental breeding and every pup was very pit bull terrier in look, but that female was matched in every dog was bully. Even the female carried feminine bully traits. Exactly. And that's what you're looking for. Grow Logic said, blessed up. Bully fam, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Freddie Farming said, does a high protein diet cause a high rear in pups? Also, does a fattier diet work better than protein for pups? Fattier is better than a bunch of protein. These pups, too much protein can mess up their growth, can mess up their structure. I wouldn't say it will cause a high rear, but not having the right growth with the joints and the top leg growing a little faster than the bottom part of the leg, or the bottom part of the leg growing a little faster than the top part of the leg, can cause straight stiff stifles. Straight stiff stifles can cause high rears, can cause arches in the back. So I never thought about it along those levels. What I would say is keep your protein intake low on growing pups, especially large breeds. Protein is for activity and a little bit of development, but mostly repairing things. And so you're better off. Dogs get from fat what humans get from protein. They digest fat a lot better than we do. So you want to focus more on fat without having a fat dog. I would say with the bullies, if you're using kibble, between 18 and 22, 23% protein is good. Anything more than that, you're doing too much due to the fact of the way that these dogs grow. Mr. J, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Let's see. Casper said, I'm thinking of starting with 3 males and do a couple studs, then take on a couple females. Okay, I got you. We actually started with 1 male, 3 females. That we started with, yeah, 1 male, 3 females. We got a 4th female. We're not going to be using her. So we started with 1 male, 4 females. One of those females we're not going to be using. Another female we used, and then and that's how we got T'Challa. And then we ended up selling her. Um, and the other 2 females we kept, which ended up being the main 2 females we picked from the get-go, which was Cardi Bull and Lady Justice. So Castro said, yeah, so you're thinking, and we started off with King, and all our males right now are the offspring of King. There's a breeding I'm excited about. I'm not going to speak on it till it happens. But that should be going down later this year, the beginning of next year. And I'm hoping to, because of the track record of the female being used, I'm not even going to say no more. But when we get that dog, that will complete our program, whether it be male or female. Hopefully we get a female off of it. If that breeding goes right, and we get a female, bam, it's a wrap for the bully community. We gonna do some damage with it. If we get a male, we just need these next 2 breedings to go right, and we're gonna do some damage with that. But we're hoping to get a female off of that breeding. I'm not gonna speak on it any more than that. Mr. J said, Freddie Farming, not necessarily. You can have too much weight on a pup, and they are. Hold on. Why is this? Come on. Where are we going to? You can have too much weight on a pup, and they are correct in the front, making a high rear. It could be genetics. Exactly. Most time the high rear is going to be genetics. And when we say fat, we're talking about food intake fat, not a pup fat. The pup should still be lean. You want to keep your pups thin and lean. When you get a wide shoulder spread in a lot of these bullies, it causes them to sink down in the front, causes weak pasterns, things like that. That also gives the look of a high rear. You want to keep those pups very balanced, especially if you're dealing with XLs and they tend to go through a growth stage. When you start seeing little things, you start to notice a high rear, you need to change their food intake and things for that. You start to notice they seem to be getting a little fatter, seem to be getting skinny. You want to adjust what you're doing with them for how they're growing so that you keep everything as balanced as possible by bringing down the protein. Maybe, and that shouldn't be too much adding more protein, but increasing food intake, increasing a little bit of play exercise, what type of exercise you're doing with the pup, because you're limited to what you can really do with a pup that's still growing. So, but you want to try to balance what you see going on. So if this end is going haywire, then you want to start trying to get this end to go haywire. And if this end's going that direction, you want to try to get this end to kind of go this direction. You want to try to keep the pup balanced as they go through those awkward stages. Because remember, what you get at about 8 weeks old should be what you get as an adult. It's just gonna not look as babyish. Um, let's see. Inspirational Alpha said, "What's the process for deworming your pups?" I just use regular. What's the dewormer I get? I want to say it's Hearts, but I just use regular dewormer. I do now go to the vet to get it done. I used to deworm them myself. I now go to the vet because the vet that I go to is close and super cheap. But now if I got to drive too far, then I'll go to my local feed store. I'll get the dewormer on my own. The problem I've been having with feed stores and not my specific feed store is I have a lot of homies well, not a lot of homies, but I have a few homies that breed also, and they have been having issues with shots and things that they've been getting from feed stores. Now, my feed store that I go to in Pomona, I haven't had any issues with, so salute to them. But it just kind of made me like, okay, let's just stick with the vet, and so that's kind of what I've moved to. Plus, I started going to the vet more because of the mentality of bullies. I wanted to make sure I was socializing them. If I have a dog that I want strictly for protection, working, they don't go to vets. I handle everything. But when it comes to bullies, I want them getting out more, so they go to PetSmart when I go to get dog food. When they need stuff, I make sure I take them to the vet so that they can come across other dogs, other people, things like that. I want to meet other bully breeders. So that's why I started using a vet again. Um, don't you jump through that screen after that motorcycle, Cardi. Let's see. WKR said, in your opinion, what age of a bully pup can start on adult kibble? I start pups on adult. I don't do puppy kibble because it's got too much protein in it. I start my pups on adult kibble, especially on large breeds, Cane Corsos, Rottweilers, Band Dogs, Bullies. I start them all, Bull Lurchers, anything that's going to be somewhat tall or wide. I start them on adult kibble and I mix it with their formula. And I start that at right about 4 weeks, I think is what I did with this last litter. So at 4 weeks old, I pull them off the mom and start making a mush for them. And that mush is basically I take the kibble, crunch it up as much as possible, let it soak, and then I put that food in there. So it's probably right around 4 or 5 weeks is when I start. But I give them adult dog food, small bites. Um, let's see. So basically, as soon as they get their teeth in, you just get them going. Um, what is not sure. Hold on. Easty Westy fixable and does raw chicken feet help with that? And at what age is it too old to fix Easty Westy? Um, you want to jump on it quick. Once you start hitting, 4, 5 months old, you're starting to run out of time to do it. When it comes to Easty Westy, the first thing, yes, it can be fixed somewhat. You want to lessen the protein. You want to start giving them chicken feet does help. That you also want to get because it's got a lot of glucosamine in it. You also want to get them glucosamine pills to add to their food. You want to, what else? You want to use yogurt, black pepper on their food to help them digest and get more nutrients from their food to aid in their growth and that growth coming correctly. And then you want to get them on like pea gravel, mud, fresh, soft green grass, anything like that a couple times a day to get them walking on it. And it will help straighten out their feet correctly. But hit me up and I can get you more information on that. Matter of fact, girl, be quiet. Don't you come up here again. Raul has a live that he did, QBNK. He's got a live that he did where it might have been on Pasterns. If I'm not mistaken, it was on Easty Westy. Girl, you look funny on camera. Get out of here though. Go somewhere. I'm gonna feed you in a second. But check out his live. It's one of his lives. He talks about that on his YouTube channel. So check that out. What do we got? 8Shark51 said, have you experienced using cod liver oil to fix patterns or east-west? Cod liver oil, from what I understand, I've never used it. I know people that will use just fish oil, so they'll use sardines to help with that development, because that's another thing that's also good in bone and cartilage development. So there's various ways to go about it. Like I said, Raul gives a dope breakdown, because for me, I have to really be sitting and thinking about it. Raul gives a dope breakdown on it. Matter of fact, he even spoke on, which a lot of people don't know, is using sauerkraut. If you can get a dog to take sauerkraut, it's way better for your dog, and it will help you get the dog pull a lot of the nutrients it needs for that muscle and that bone and structural development to help fix it. But vitamin C is another thing you want to be utilizing. Sunlight, getting that dog out in the sun is another thing that you want to do. If you have the space where you can build a pen just for dealing with those type of flaws, weak pasterns, easty westy, that's the best thing you can do. And especially using pea gravel, getting that pup to walk around on that gravel forces them to move those feet in as they operate. Let's see. James said, "Damn, can you patrol Facebook and post that, because that's one of the number one questions on there is, how can I make my pup bigger?" Yeah, you don't want to make them bigger. Genetics is what makes them big. You just want to make sure that their structure is decent, and that's by keeping them as lean as possible. Don't make them skinny. You don't want to be seeing their rib cage, but keeping them lean. You don't want to have big pups with big bellies and a lot of fat and all that. Looks great for pictures and sales, and you see the breeders that are dumb and do that shit. But that's not what you want, and that's why those breeders, a lot of times when those pups hit 6-7 months old, a year, they got sway back, easty westy, and all kinds of other stuff, because they just are trying to make fat pups for pictures. Ashley Hernan said, I use a blender, hot water, kibble, goat's milk. Yes, I soak the kibble in hot water. I soak the kibble in hot water. I use goat milk plus what I continue for their formula, which is egg yolk, goat's milk, little bit of colostrum. What else? Cairo syrup. What else do I throw in my formula? But I keep that on their bottled formula that I give to them while they're nursing from their mom. The ones that get a little tired, I'll see if they'll get a little bit more. Then when I take them off of it, I still heat it up like normal. I pour it over their kibble, and I let it soak for a little bit. And that's how I start to get them on the kibble without them getting so much of the diarrhea a little bit. I will add a small teaspoon of pure canned pumpkin to that. When I start to put them on kibble, I'll add the canned pumpkin just to keep their poops firm, so they don't get diarrhea. Makes it a little easier for me to clean up, because once you start giving them that kibble, moms is no longer gonna clean up their shit. So be aware of that. For those first time breeders, the mom is gonna clean up behind those pups. Even if you're the one doing all the work, when you can take the pup, separate them, let the mom in their area. She'll go in there and clean up all their stuff. It just kicks in with her instinct. The minute those pups get that taste of kibble, that mom will no longer clean up their shit no more. So be aware of that. Tell me about high fat content puppy food. High fat content is not bad in puppy food, because they typically avoid it because of the stereotypes of things that are high fat. So high fat is not bad. High protein is what's bad. That's what you have to watch out for. High fat just means now I got to watch my dog. High protein means by the time I notice it's too much protein, I've got something I need to fix. High fat, you can just make adjustments with the amount that you give. High protein doesn't work that way. You don't give enough of a high protein food, your dog's not getting enough other nutrients. Um, let's see his fixed feet video. Yes, he has a video that's great on that. And that's what I'm speaking on. Raul with QB and K. This video is called Fixed Feet. Okay, so cool. How you feel about people throwing Bulldog in their program for structure? If you're talking about Bulldog as American Staffordshire, and we're about to come to a close on this, and so we're going to finish up. As far as American Staffordshire, if you're calling that a bulldog or a pit bull, which is what some old schoolers call a bulldog, cool. You're talking about the English bulldog? No, I think that's a bad idea. If you're talking about American bulldog, that can be right. I don't think this breed needs any more mixes to fit structure, though. There's enough dogs out there to fix it, that have good structure for you to fix it. Dom said colostrum is colostrum a vitamin pill? The colostrum I get is a powder, that you get. What colostrum is before the female produces milk, she boosts the puppy's immune system by producing colostrum for about 24 to 48 hours. Well, you can buy colostrum that I add to the puppies to keep them going, especially when I'm taking them off the mom because I'm getting ready to start giving them shots. And so I want their immune system strong. So I get powder colostrum for them. I want to start taking them outside, get them in the sun, things like that. So that's what I do. Is there really a difference between puppy food or adult dog food? Yes, puppy food tends to be higher protein, which tends to be bad for large dog breeds, whether that's large in height or large in width and bone. Beth B said you have your settings set to kids content unless you change it before this video, so we can't comment after live is over, and I think we can't ring the bell for all notifications. It's set to kids content? Hold up. How do I change that? Hold on. YouTube. Hold on. Let me check something real quick. I didn't know that. YouTube. Go to my page. I might have to look at that earlier. Switch account. Purchase members. Settings. Choose how to appear what you see on YouTube, your channel, throw a Bullies channel, status and features, create a new channel, view, status and features. Why is it not? Oh, there we go. Hold on. I'm glad you said that. Why is this taking so long to pull up? Settings. All right, so basic info, default features, upload videos, create. You know what? I'll figure it out later. But I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know that. I have to figure that out. Let's see. As far as nutrition, I think we covered that. Can you feed a puppy a more fat food with less protein? Yes. East 51 Oakland. What's up, man? Oaktown in the house. Is there any bloodlines that you prefer over others when it comes to bullies? No. When it comes to the American bully, no. I don't trust these bloodlines, plus a lot of them aren't really bloodlines. They're more stud names and popular kennel names. So no, I don't have anything I prefer. I just match traits. When it comes to which people will start learning is just as good as matching bloodlines, almost as good as matching bloodlines, I'll say. But yeah, I prefer to match traits with breeds that are scatterbred, paper hung, things like that. When you can't trust the breeders. Cam Newton said, "What's the purpose of all the protein as a puppy?" The average dog needs more protein. Large breed dogs need less protein. So that's why, like, your smaller breeds are fine with high protein puppy food. Your large breeds, they found out over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years that that's not good for them. Daryl is cussing too, so that's not good. Yeah, I gotta stop cussing on here. I always say I'm not. Raul gets on us when we cuss on his. So I do have every now and then I accidentally cuss. I am working on that. Let's see. Cam Newton said, "Thanks for all the information. No problem." So let's finish up this black hole theory. So, so based off the black hole theory, um, let's see, where were we? So when people are saying, so in the bully community, people say, "Oh, I'm 3 to 5 breedings ahead. I'm already aware of what I'm going to do 3 to 5 breedings ahead." That's an old term that the bully community misuses, as I was speaking on earlier. Um, the bully community says I'm 3 to 5 breedings ahead because they know what dog they plan on going to, based off the names of those dogs. That's not what that term is, or that phrase is meant for. The bully community misuses a lot of dog terms and a lot of dog phrases. When you say I'm 3 to 5 breedings ahead, again, it's not about that specific dog. It's like the bully community uses it. It's meant to know what traits you'll be pursuing or avoiding at certain points during each generation. That's what that's about. So when you say I'm 3 to 5 breedings ahead, that means during this first breeding. So let's say we're saying 5 breedings. During this first breeding, I know these are the traits I'm going to be looking for, and these are the traits I'm going to be avoiding. During the second breeding, I know I'm still going to be avoiding those traits and looking for those traits. During the third breeding, I know a third generation, I know I will have avoided those traits and gotten those traits. So now it's time to start locking them in. During the fourth generation, I know I'm going to start locking in these traits. And during the fifth generation, I will have produced the dogs that I want, who have the traits that I want. It has nothing, when that phrase was originally used, it had nothing to do with what dogs you specifically were going to be using. It had to do with what traits, whether they were working, especially if they were working dogs. This is what I know I'm going to need to get to what I need to get to, not necessarily the dogs. Now, you might know what dogs carry those traits, but in the bully community, they know their next 5 breedings because they're going off of hype popular names. That's not how that phrase is supposed to be used. And that's so they're misleading a lot of people when they say that, because it sounds good to say I'm 5 generations ahead. Like my cousin and I are 5 generations ahead, but we weren't 5 generations ahead till we knew how some of these breedings were going to click and who was going to be pushing what traits. So now we know these are the traits that we're going to be looking for and looking to get. What dog it comes from doesn't matter. We just know that this is what we'll be doing. And if it means that we don't have something that we need and we go outside of our yard, then that's what we'll do to stay on the path of knowing what we're going to be doing 5 or more, 3 to 5 generations from now. That is the purpose of that phrase. It doesn't matter what dog; it matters what traits. Um, it's like why do you think bully breeders and exotic breeders complain about pit bull traits, and they're hard to get rid of? Well, they're not. They're not hard to get rid of. Styles of dogs, types of dogs have traits that are hard to get rid of. You breed to a hound, it's going to be hard to get rid of his traits. You breed to a terrier, it's going to be hard to get rid of those traits. You breed to a mastiff, it's going to be hard to get rid of those traits. You breed to a bulldog, it's going to a bull-bred dog, it's going to be hard to get rid of those traits. So when you say I'm 3 to 5 trait breedings ahead, you're talking about traits, whether it's flaws that you're working on, traits you need to gain, whatever it is. Your female, back into the theory, your female is going to always give you 50% of her traits. Okay. Your male is going to only give 50% of his traits, but 50% of he's only going to give you 50% of his traits on females. So whether you get the puppy offspring, whether you get male pups or female pups, your female is going to consistently give you 50% of her traits on every single pup, male or female. The male is going to give you 50% of his traits on all the females. The traits that he gives on the males is going to be very little, because most of his genetics information is focused on turning those males into males. You understand that? So you have to think about that when you're breeding, because he's giving less genetic information to his males, like we discussed earlier. And this is how you map out your breedings 3 to 5 generations ahead for the black hole theory, or when you want to say I'm 3 to 5 generations ahead. You're going to be knowing how to get the traits to carry to the end game. So you're starting with the pups now. Some of these traits, if not put in the right position, you'll lose them. That's what the black hole theory is about. Some of these traits on the flip side of that, you may not want. You just need a vessel to carry those puppies. So it's okay to put that dog in a black hole position to carry those pups. So when it comes to creating the baddest female for your bloodline, 4 generations from now, you want to have the baddest female from your bloodline. So for 4 generations, you need to have the best traits stacked on her sire's mom's side. Basically, the grandmother. That grandmother needs to be full. You need to be, and remember, we're not talking about the peds of the pup in front of you. We're talking about the peds that the pup in front of you is getting ready to create. For you to create a dope female 4 generations from now, you're going to need to use the pups that you have now to create that dame. Okay? So for 4 generations, you need to have the best traits stacked on the sire's mom's side, the sire's grandmother. Okay? That's who you need to be working on starting now to create that dope female. And for 4 generations, you need to have the best traits stacked on her mom's side, the mom's mother. Why? Because the female is getting 50% on every breeding. So her grandmother on the mom's side needs to be bred to at least 1 good male. This is what you're working on starting now. You're taking this pup and you're moving all the way down. That would be 2 generations from now. That dog is going to be the grandmother of the future of your bloodline. Needs to be bred to a great looking male, an equivalent male. Otherwise, things are going to get lost for you to, and so that you can make traits that pass through your bloodline. So basically, to repeat that, and I'm going to repeat it again because I know that shit gets confusing. There I go cussing again. So for 4 generations, you need to have the best trait stack. Let me just start it over. Okay. So you want to create 4 generations from now. You want your bloodline to be set. You're going to need a badass female from that bloodline. You're going to need a badass male from that bloodline. You need to work on starting now with the pups that you have now to create that bad female. 4 generations from now, you're going to need to have the best traits stacked on that female that you plan on creating 4 generations from now on her dad's mom's side. You're working on grandma. That's who you need to be focused on making the best. Grandma, okay? Grandpa's side, on the dad's side, don't even matter. All of them are vessels just to carry puppies and sperm or eggs. That's all they're about. It's grandma's side that needs to be stacked, okay? And that's grandma's side on the mother's side, okay? When it comes, then that's grandma's side on on the sire side. I'm sorry, on the dad's side. Okay. Now, on the bottom for that female, for 4 generations, you need to have the best trait stack on the mom's grandmother, on the mom's mom. So on grandma again, plus grandma, because she's going to be giving 50% of her genetics to mom. Grandma needs to be bred to a great male. You can't throw away that position. Okay? That is a very important position for you to get what you need in that breeding 4 generations from now. Okay? You're going to have to listen to this a couple times. I'm going to have to say it a couple times. But now let's go on to the male that's produced from your take the pup now that you have now, and now you need to produce the best male 4 generations from now, avoiding any good traits falling into a black hole and allowing any bad traits to fall into a black hole. So when it comes to creating the best male that you can create with your bloodline, for 4 generations, you need to have the best traits filled in his mom's side, because that's going to be where he gets most of his information from. You can only slip on the 4th generation at your starting point. So where you're at today, you can make one error. Okay? One error, and that's it. You can breed to one bad dog, and that's it. Otherwise, because you have a black hole coming up right now. So for 4 generations, you need the best traits filled on the female side. Whatever your male is that you're breeding to, that's where and then you can only have one slip up. And for 4 generations, you need the best traits filled on his sire's, basically his grandfather's side. Okay, so what that means is, when I say you have one slip up you could make, is on his mom's side, you can have one error. Okay. The reason you can have that is because they're getting so much genetics. So you at your starting point on his mom's, on the damn side, you can only slip one time on that breeding. You can have one. So today, with the pup that you have, the female pup that you have, she can be bred to one bad male. Hopefully he's not too bad, to produce males that you're going to have down the line, because guess what? They're going to be losing the traits of those males anyway on the female side. Okay. So when you're looking at the black hole theory, that's why you see, when you're looking at it charted out, that's why you see the female, almost her side becomes non-existent. They all become filled with black holes. So you have room to have an error there. But for 4 generations, you need the best traits filled in on the sire side, the dad's side, and his sire side, and his sire side, etc. Okay? Because that's how you want those traits to pass through. So if you look at a chart of the black hole theory of breeding, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. Just thinking about it can be confusing. You got to kind of write it down, and then you got to map it out, remembering that we're breeding forward. Okay? So you're looking at the pup you got now, and your goal is the pup that you're going to have in 5 generations. Okay? So if you put the traits you want in these positions, they will pass them. And if you make sure that the traits you don't want fall in the black hole positions, and usually the black hole position comes from males, because they're unable to pass their traits to males. That's where you usually see the black hole position, is male father to male puppy. So that's where your black holes are usually going to be. Your females tend to be full of a whole bunch of traits from both sides. So there are very few black holes in her genetics. Your male puppies tend to have the more black holes in their blood and their pedigree, due to the fact that so much gets lost from the other males in their pedigree, especially the males within their mom's side. That's where your mistakes can be. You have to end those mistakes, though, with a good male and a good female. Okay, when you get to that mom, and then that mom goes in with the dad, he's got to be strong. He's got to be strong bred. That's basically how the black hole theory works. To nip it all in the bud, just always remember, as you're breeding right now, focus on the fact that your female, what do you need? Do you need a male or a female? If you're looking for a male, then you know your female needs to be strong. If you're looking for, because your male is going to be weak anyway, unless he's line bred and inbred. If he is line bred and inbred or inbred, then he needs to be exactly what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a male pup, it's his mom that you need to have all the traits that you want from. When it comes to a female pup, she needs to have a good male, a good dad that has the traits you want, and she needs to have a good mom that has the traits you want. Because guess what? She's going to be taking a combination of those traits, putting them into one X chromosome, and then putting those in her puppies. You get what I'm saying? So when it comes to your females, that's what you have to remember. If you think of that as you map out your breedings, looking at traits that you want to pass, you'll end up creating your own black hole theory map. You have no choice if you look at it that way. So just remember, starting now, again, I'm going to repeat it. Your males, if they are line bred or inbred, need to be perfect for the traits that you want. Your females need to be perfect with your males no matter what. When it comes to your females, their mother and their father need to have all the traits they want. When you go to pick a pup and you need to pick a female, you want a female. Do not take a female unless the mother and father have all the traits that you are looking for. Do not take a male unless the female, his mom, has all the traits that you're looking for, and his father is line bred or inbred. Okay? Because chances are you're not going to get it. Or another combination is the father and mother both have very similar traits. So let's say, here's a mistake a lot of bully breeders make. This guy is breeding, has a female that needs body and needs substance. So he's breeding her to this guy's male because it's got body and substance. Then they have a litter of pups. And then here you come getting a male. You messed up because chances are those males are going to take after their mom who was being fixed by the father. See what I'm saying? What you want to do is get a female, and you want to get a female. And since you know this was a fixer-upper breeding, you want to get a female that resembles the male, and you can get that in the litter because she's getting 50% of her genetics from the male, from her father, 50% of the genetics from her dad. Let's say this guy's got a male pup, or let's say you want to get a female off of that breeding, and it's the female being bred to a male. And the male was used to fix it up. Now you're 50-50 on whether you're going to get what you want, okay? Because the mom didn't have what you want, the dad did, but they're both given 50-50 genetics. Let's say the mom is the shit and the dad is the one. The dad has features you're not looking for, but the mom has it. So this guy's taking his male who needs some more substance or whatever he needs, and he's breeding to the female that has it. And then all of a sudden you come along. You need a male pup for your program. You don't want to get a male pup from this breeding because the dad or take that back. You need a female from this program. You don't want to get a female pup from this breeding because, again, it's 50-50, and the dad didn't have what you was looking for. The mom did. If you need a male pup and you come to this breeding, you might be okay because even though the dad lacked the whatever it was you were needing, the mom had it, and she's the one that's going to be pushing the majority of the genetics. So think of it that way when you're breeding and when you're picking your pups. Think of it that way when you're doing your breedings, and you will automatically create a pedigree that creates the black hole theory breakdown. But you just have to remember that. Look at it that way. Let me go to the comments, and then we're going to get up off of here. Rose said, thanks for the information, brother. And now, Rose, and you're welcome, and thanks for tuning in. This really works for you because you got to pay attention to the drive of your dogs. You're going to be using your dogs for hog hunting and doing a lot of catch work, protection. So this really plays in position for you because you got to pay attention to the temperament of the dogs, the female versus the males, and how do you carry these traits into your next generations. And I'm assuming you've already been doing that, but this is just a little something to think about when it comes to picking your males and your females. Castro said, thanks for the live. Thanks, Castro, for joining in. Mr. J said, James Galloway. I was about to say the same thing about the chart. Did I miss something on the chart? Let me see here. Did I miss something? Again, for the younger breeders, brother, you might need to put this in a chart format. I get what you're saying. It is in a chart format. What I will try to do is remember tomorrow to post it. I'll make sure as soon as we get off this live, I'll schedule it for tomorrow to post at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'll have a reminder for everybody that watched today's live. You'll have the chart. Let's see here. But that's a good idea. So I'll find a chart for it. Let's see. AJ Malv, thanks for joining in. And thanks for that. Hopefully everybody was able to understand it because it is confusing to explain. It is easier. See, when I'm used to talking about the black hole theory of breeding, is me and some buddies looking at a pedigree and we're mapping it out, but it's right there in front of us. So it's easier to explain it that way. When you don't have that in front of you, it confuses you and it confuses the people who are listening. Let's see. Rose said my female just hit a year and she has a 17-inch head and is 18 inches in height. So yeah, that's the female you showed on the live, if I'm not mistaken. Next Monday, I'm about I keep forgetting to remind y'all that every now and then it kicks me out. But next Monday we will get back into bringing people on. But this was one that a lot of people hit me up on, so I wanted to re-go over it. So basically, since I have a male, see now you're gonna confuse everybody. Let's see. All right. So basically, Mr. J says, so basically, since I have a male, I need to put him to a female with a fire grandfather. Yes, to retain those strong traits. Yes. Because your male, so when you got to remember, so you can produce a litter. Your female's grandfather, she hopefully has his traits. She's got 50% of her traits. So hopefully the female you have, you pick based off of her having her grandfather's traits rather than, her grandmother's traits. So your female is going to carry 50% her mom, 50% her dad. Okay. So it just depends on who she more resembles. Your male is going to need to have strong traits from his mother. So like your question says, so basically since I have a male, I need to put him to a female with a fire grandmother. You want her to have a fire grandmother and fire grandfather. Okay. And hopefully that fire is matching traits that are in that female. Okay. Because she's 50-50 to retain those strong traits. Bam. So she needs to have both. Then work the best female from that litter. Yes. So you want that female to have females. Always remember, females that you're building your program with are going to give you a combination of their father and their mother. So therefore, both of them have to be good. Okay. Both of them have to be good. Your males are going to give you mostly from their mother. their father is going to tend to fade, is going to tend to fade off. So you want their father to be line bred and or inbred, or to have great males in it, and you want them to have matching traits with the females that are in it. Okay, so that's how you want to think of that. Grow Logic 420 said, respect for breaking this down. I think I can really understand the black hole theory now. This is going to help me for my first breeding. Tomorrow in the Giant XL American Bully Breed group, I will post a chart. I'll try to find a chart to post in there. I know we found one before, but I'll try to find a chart in there to post and reference everybody back to tonight's live. Let's see. James Galloway, for some reason it don't show emojis. Joel Sanchez said, appreciate the game, no problem. Thanks for tuning in. Rose said, can you post it in the bull bred breeds? I will post it in there. That's a good idea. Grow Logic 420 said, with that said, it's best to buy a female from 2 specimens that you're fully happy with. Exactly. That's what it all boils down with. You can make some mistakes on your male, but that's exactly what it all boils down to. If you get a male, you better really like the mom and her parents. Bam. That's exactly what it boils down to. That's Grow Logic just summed it up right then and there. Just summed it up. So I'm going to reread that. With that being said, it's best to buy a female from 2 specimens that you are fully happy with. If you get a male, you better really like the mom and her parents and both of her parents, which goes back to what he's saying about females. And that sums it up. Matter of fact, we can go ahead and jump off of here. It looks like we've been on here almost 2 hours. So that sums it up. I will go ahead, make sure I make a post for tomorrow that has a chart with it, and try to add some links. I'm sure I can find some links. I should have Googled Black Hole Theory to see what they had on it. But I will do that now. Make sure that's in a post tomorrow for both Giant XL group and also Bully Bread. Bully, damn, I forgot what my own group is called. Bully Bread Breeds group. And I'll make sure that it posts tomorrow, and them both at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank y'all for tuning in. Good to have you guys on here. And we'll get back into the regular lives next Tuesday. I'll be able to go live on Facebook. And I will also be bringing you guys on as you please. So salute. Thanks, everybody, for joining in.